Wilson, Mary Catherine Ham, Brian Neiman, today's newsmakers, and you. The Morning Majority, 630.
WMAL.
8:07 on WMAL on a Thursday morning. Coming up about a half hour from now, Fred Barnes from the Weekly Standard will join us. We'll talk to him about 8:36. And Wilson over here has got a big rant to get off his chest.
But I think people are going to be with me on this.
Maybe so. In about 9 minutes we'll do that. We are pleased to be joined now by Mark Levin, the great one, who you can hear every weekday night, 6 to 9 on WMAL. I think it's hot outside now. Just wait till Mark gets done. Good morning, great one. How are you?
What a pleasure. How are you, my friend?
We're doing great. All right.
By the way, people don't know that Brian, the other Brian's like 8 feet tall.
Yes, I noticed.
Yeah.
You're a pretty big guy yourself.
Yeah, but I'm not 8 feet tall.
I'm only 6'4".
Yeah, well, you look a lot bigger than that.
He's not saying you're fat, though.
Well,
all right,
he hadn't seen me lately.
All right, so educate us. There was the judges in the federal appeals court down in Atlanta yesterday, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, essentially questioned whether the individual mandate really could stand up. What does that mean for Obamacare moving forward, in your opinion?
Well, here's the bottom line. This is not even a close question. The question is whether these courts are going to have fidelity to the Constitution. As a matter of fact, it's indisputable. There are no federal cases whatsoever where the federal government has ever attempted to compel an individual to purchase a private contract or to engage in private conduct. Now, Congress knows how to do this if it wants to do this. It can be very heavy-handed. It knows how to impose taxes and force people to buy into government programs. But they couldn't get that passed. And they didn't want to go into an election with this, the single-payer plan and everything. So they tried to go through the back door and force individuals to enter into private contracts and force private companies to give them policies that the government would, in effect, write. And so Cuccinelli, all these states, we at Landmark Legal Foundation said, now, wait a minute, this does more than that. Forget about health care. We cannot have the government. Congress does not have the power, and the president doesn't have the power either, to tell somebody to enter into a personal contract. And if I hear one more time that it's like buying automobile insurance, I'm going to jump off the roof.
Well, did you hear the Solicitor General's argument the other day, essentially that, well, it's not really a mandate because you can always not have to buy it, because if you don't make enough money, then essentially don't make enough money, then you don't have to buy it. It'll be given to you.
It's his sixth argument, and his sixth argument is as stupid as his first argument. So they are in the shadows trying to figure out some kind of defense, and they don't have one. And at least two of the circuit court judges, one appointed by Bush, one appointed by Clinton, but originally appointed to the district court by Reagan, he's a former prosecutor, said, can you give us any information whatsoever in American history, in American jurisprudential history, anything whatsoever to support your position? And the answer is no. And in our brief we said, ask them. Ask them for any evidence whatsoever, any history, any information whatsoever that justifies their destroying the Constitution. If they had their way, the Commerce Clause and the individual mandate would swallow up all the protections in the Constitution and all that existed before the Constitution. So this is a very, very serious civil rights case.
All right, one more question on this. What would happen if the Supreme Court, as you would say, does the right legal thing and says it's unconstitutional, this individual mandate? What happens to the bill? Does it just go away completely, or are there other ways they can get around it and we'll still have some form of Obamacare?
Well, it depends what they say is unconstitutional. If they do what Vincent did, the district judge in Florida, and throw the whole thing out, well, that's what happens. Now, if they do what Henry Hudson suggested, the other judge in Virginia, then that's broken out. I'm not sure, but I do know this. Courts are not supposed to rewrite legislation. This is why I feel Vincent did the right thing. They're not supposed to say, all right, this part stands and this part does not stand. What they're supposed to do is rule the law as in or out, particularly if Congress doesn't have a provision saying that you can bifurcate different provisions that are not upheld. And they didn't do that. The court has, we all know now that we have a judicial oligarchy. They're going to decide if we're free or not. They're going to decide if this is upheld or not. And the bottom line is, I don't know, because it depends on what they hold is or is not unconstitutional. If, in fact, Justice Kennedy follows the Constitution and votes with, I hope, will be the other four.
Well, Mark, let me ask you about some 2012 politics. We've got Palin is touring. There's a debate coming up on Monday, and we had this sort of odd Palin camp versus Bachmann camp incident this week when Ed Rollins hit Sarah Palin in what are some pretty sore spots for Sarah Palin fans who most of the time are the same folks as Michelle Bachmann fans. A lot of them overlap. I thought it was a very odd incident. I thought it was strange that Bachmann didn't back away from it. Does it mean anything? Is it trumped up by the media, or does it matter?
I happen to be friendly with both of them.
Right.
And I also happen to know that Ed Rollins can be an idiot. And, he was not involved, the guy in charge of the first Reagan campaign. He was involved in the second Reagan campaign, but he always reported to Meese and Deaver and Baker and those guys, and Lynn Nofsinger. I'm not a big fan of his. He jumped in with Ross Perot. That didn't end well. He jumped in with Huckabee. That was kind of odd. So he says these things. He's very loose-lipped, and he started it.
Right.
And I know he does not speak for Michelle Bachmann, but on the other hand, she can't cut the legs out from under her campaign chief. So I suspect she pulled him back. He did apologize. The head of the Palin PAC did the right thing. He took a shot at Rollins. But you know what? I've been involved in a number of campaigns. It's not like these things don't happen.
Right.
It's not like they're not going to happen. Even there's fighting within campaigns. In campaign, people leak against each other, and they're working for the same candidate. What you want to do is limit that, of course.
I want to ask you one question, one-word question.
Yes?
Wiener, go.
Against it. I mean, for mine, but against it. Let's see, Wiener, one-word question. Wiener. Well, look, to me, this is a bigger issue. He won't be around in a month or two.
We don't think he's going to last the week.
But even
Neiman
if he
and
does,
I don't.
I mean, the point to me is that the American people need to understand that this is the kind of person. I don't mean people taking shots of their, privates and shooting all over, but these people are imperfect. In fact, some of them are really weird. And the idea that we confer our liberty and our property on a relative handful of temporary politicians who we really don't know. We don't know what the hell these people are doing in their private lives. We barely know what they're doing in their public lives. This is a warning, and we've had warnings like this many, many times. Defend your liberty, defend your private property rights, make these decisions for yourself. Do not assume because some guy is a smooth talker or puts out some kind of a fantasy agenda where everybody's going to get whatever they want, it's not going to cost anything, that these people are serious or should be taken seriously. We put these people on high. Again, we Americans are really schizophrenic. We don't like politicians, and yet when they make these promises, we want to believe. Well, look at Wiener. And if you look at Wiener's wiener, that should give you an example of why we shouldn't give these people this kind of power.
All right, Mark. Always great to have you on the show. We appreciate it immensely. Thanks a lot.